It's EBA tonight. It's your boy Ice the Man. Always ready to put on a show with my man, the commish, Texas James Smith. How you doing tonight?
I'm here ready to go, man. Ready to talk these playoffs, Ready to, hype up my Trailblazers, man. Let's get it.
Also with me tonight, we brought back another guest, the realist. The realist. You there, brother?
Yes, sir.
Now, I don't know what
talk about the CBA.
I don't know what it is about the Cleveland Cavaliers. It seems like you guys are the ones that always hit me up like, hey, I'll be on your show, which we're always looking for guests. So if anybody wants to be on the show, just hit me up and say, hey, I want to say my piece because this is your time and place. EBA tonight. We're going to talk the EBA, of course. I mean, that's why we're here, right? We're going to jump right in and go directly to the playoffs. Now, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but based on my sign here, we're on ESPN and ABC. Maybe you missed us. It's pretty damn exciting. A few people streamed. I watched a couple games. I was bored. I flip it on, whatever. I'm pretty excited how the EBA playoffs are turning out, exactly how I said they would last week. So let's move right in to give an update on how they look. We have Minnesota Timberwolves had the bye, so they're just waiting there in the East Finals, like bring it on. Cleveland Cavaliers swept the Pistons. 4-0. I always see this. Pistons give me my energy or give me the energy. Pistons here hold this L. You got sweet 4-0. On the opposite side, Portland Trailblazers, Golden State Warriors are waiting in the finals. Golden State Warriors beat the Rockets 4-1. That was a little bit of a surprise. I had them in at least Rockets winning 2 games, but give some, take some. I know Rockets shook up their roster a little bit the last week. I think that hurt them and put them into place. And Golden State, of course, shook up things the last couple of weeks and made them better. So, Portland Trailblazers, Golden State Warriors in the West. In the East, Minnesota Timberwolves, Cleveland Cavaliers. First and second seed are both waiting there like it should be. I'll start with you, realist, on the West, because East, I know who you're going to pick. But on the West, you got Portland and Golden State. Tell me, who do you have winning it and how many?
I'm gonna say it's gonna be a really good series. I'm gonna say Golden State is gonna win, and I can't pick the amount of win. Okay, I'll say Golden State in 6. That's just what I'll do. Golden State in 6.
I'm about to say, just go for it. I'm not going to hold you to it. You're not going to lose any money. You think Golden State is going to beat the Portland Trailblazers in 6 games? So it's going to be 4-2. Portland's going to pull down 2. Now, before we get to the East, I got to switch it over to Texas James Smith, who I know is watching the Dallas Cowboys and Minnesota Viking game. I'm a huge Minnesota Vikings fan. Texas James, a huge Dallas fan, of course, Texas. So we got a little bit of friction going on here. Already he's picking Golden State over Portland. Do you think, of course you don't think that's accurate, but how many games do you feel Portland's going to be beating Golden State in?
Well, let me take it back to. I'm not gonna say it's not accurate because it's. I mean, obviously, I don't think that's what's gonna happen. But what I'm saying is that Golden State has played us very well, man. I mean, they've beaten us. I mean, I know Milan has struggled against them, so I mean, we're gonna have to be on our game to win that series. So I mean, but do I think we can do it? Yeah. Do I think we will do it? Yeah. Is it possible that Golden State beats us? Yes, it's possible. I mean, they are Golden State, so I mean, obviously the odds are going to be for them. But I think we could take it. It'll be 6 or 7, if, when we win. So
now that West
6 or
Championship.
7
is not rare for an owner like Crow. I mean, he's won a championship. I can't remember if it's East or West before. When going into the final. Larry O'Brien, but a Western Division Conference championship. Tell me this: will there be an asterisk by his name, realist, being the Golden State, being Golden State Warriors beating Portland Trailblazers in this situation?
I mean, in my eyes, just because I don't think the Warriors should be able to be used. Yeah, but in someone like Crow's situation, you have to take what you can get, and he's been one of the most consistent owners in the league ever since he's been one. So for him, I'm sure it's whatever it does to whatever it takes to get the job done is what he's looking to do.
Agreed.
Now, Texas James, there's going to be crying no matter what. We know this. It's the EBA. There's going to be people crying. It's not fair. It can't be fair. We're going to talk a little bit later about some different things we'll discuss later on in your corner. But just kind of giving it the situation of him taking over Golden State, the fact that owners worked with him to build a team that he's got. Because they didn't have to, of course. There's no forcing of owners working with him. But do you feel kind of like it's a little shady, or do you feel comfortable with where he's at in the position that he's in?
I mean, first of all, I want to say, like, you know, me and Crow have had our spats in the past in the VFL back when we were League Arena on the forum and stuff. But, you know, Crow's overall, I mean, I don't have a problem with the guy at all. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's a good guy. He has done some shady things in management, right? That's a little like on the line, you know, Bill Belichick, like gray area type of stuff. But, you know, he's not a cheater or, you know, anything like that. Because, you know, I know a lot of people have heard some things about Crow. And I mean, he does some shady stuff. And I've talked to him about it. And you know, he already knows what he messed up. And he's going to progress better. And he, like Rilla said, he's been a very consistent owner for a very long time. As with the Astrid thing, for everybody looking on, everybody's going to be like, when Crow's like, oh, you know, have you won a ring? And everybody's gonna be like, dude, you had the best team that's ever touched the court on 2K. But for Crow, I mean, you got to look at it on his side where, you know, he hasn't. I mean, it's not his fault. You know, that's what he was given because that's what was available for him. And he didn't come to me after the whole thing with Cleveland, you know, fell out and happened, and then the spot came. Well, he didn't come after. He came before when everybody thought Toronto was gonna fall off, and he was contacting me and he was hitting me up like, hey man, if there's a owner spot, I want it. I don't care what team it is. I don't care if it's the Spurs, the Raptors, the Clippers. He just wanted to be an owner, and he wanted to put his part in and you know, do his thing, and he wants to be an owner in the future. So if anybody thought that it was, you know, he came to me after that's not what happened. So for Crow, it's not, I mean, you know, it's not him. I mean, he's gonna have to take the win or whatever. You know, it's not up to him if there's an asterisk or not. People are gonna see it as an asterisk, but I mean, he got dealt with the hand, and he's gonna do the best he can with that hand. So, you know, maybe he's gonna win a ship. Maybe Portland's gonna win a ship. Maybe Minnesota's gonna win a ship, but only if Golden State is there. So I'm just saying that there will be an asterisk for everybody but him, because it's Golden State and everybody sees that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, and I think it's been Merry Christmas for him. This is his best opportunity to pull into the finals and win it. He has his so-called boys, and I'm using air quotes, with him as he goes forward into the play or into this finals matchup here. I have them favored. I have Golden State beating Portland, even though you're my boy, and I know you like Portland, but I like Mike, man. I like the team he's put together, and I'm rooting for Portland, but I just got to go with my gut feeling on this, and Golden State is just too hard to beat. You put decent guys on these superstars, and they're extremely difficult to beat. So I've got Golden State winning it, but I do think it's going to be in 7. I think that you'll take them to the 6 or 7, but I think it's going to be 7. I think you'll take them to the end, and it'll be a good matchup. I don't think they're going to clean house like they did over in Houston, 4-1, but I do think it's going to be a very good all the way down to the end. Again, of course, I could be wrong.
Be careful, Ice.
Prove me wrong, but
be careful, Ice. You don't want to win you a hand job award or anything. You know, that's been known to be given out on these parts.
I wasn't even gonna bring that up. You brought that up, but I'm not. They're not my teammate. I'm not like my boys, but I'm just saying Golden State's so difficult to deal with. I know every time we've played them, no matter who we have, and yes, I'm garbage. So you can say that's because you're garbage, Ice.
Very difficult. They're
just
deal with.
difficult. You can't slip up, and you can't turn over too many times. You can't give them the opportunity because they'll shoot. This is a shooting game. This year's a shooting game more than any game I've ever played in 2K. Yes, they made a little bit of changes, which I was looking. I think they moved Steph Curry down a little bit, so the update might affect them a little bit. But man, they're just still so freaking difficult to deal with, man. Moving on to the East, Minnesota Timberwolves, Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland swept the Pistons 4-0, which I kind of figured was going to happen. I had them in 5. I had the Pistons winning at least 1, but I knew Cleveland was going to win it with Woody's special guest last week. Now, realist here on the Cleveland this week, special guest. Texas, was that a surprise, them sweeping the Pistons?
You know, being a big man, and I was rooting for the big man in that game. You know, I wanted the Pistons to win. You know, they got Drummond, and so I was rooting for him. And I might have picked the Pistons in that game. You know, that might have happened. So maybe I might have been wrong, but for everybody, I don't think it was a surprise. I was kind of hurt that they didn't even get a win, but Cleveland's doing their thing.
I mean, Cleveland swept them. Take this L instead of take my energy there, Detroit. Realist, looking back at those 4 games, the two of course you played in. Do you feel you're ready? I mean, you figured out the Cavs. Someone once told me, and I think it was you that told me this, and I could be wrong, that it's different when you go into the playoffs because you're only concerned about one team. You're not concerned, you know their strengths, and you can focus on them. And I think it was you that told me that a few shows back, way back when, a couple seasons. Is that how you feel when you went against Detroit? Like you knew you were going to take those games because you knew what you had to focus on, you knew how to shut them down, and all you had to do was focus on beating them.
Yeah, I told you that like back in season 3 on one of your shows. I think it was after the season when my team won the championship. You had me on one of your shows and asking me about you were asking me about how what it like how did we win, and you were asking us our game plan and how we beat Crow's team, because we did face Crow's team in the finals in season 3. Yeah, but yeah, I do feel that way when you get into a series with a team. You don't have to worry about the Warriors one night, Blazers this day, Cavs this, whatever team it is this day. You know what team you're playing that week, and you know what they do, and it's your job to adjust to it.
I tell you, going into the Minnesota Timberwolves games, is that how your focus is? What do they do good that you're going to have to focus on shutting down?
Well, they're very good defensively, so we know that we're gonna have to play smart on offense. You can't just throw passes around. You can't make as many mistakes offensively. You can't take as many risks. You gotta take what they give you in that part of the game. And then defensively, just gotta know that got to do something about Towns.
Yeah, they actually dropped him recently. -1 overall, down to I think an 87, or from an 87 to an 86. I remember reading that they actually dropped him down 1. I think Pro posted something that I went to and seen. But in the recent patch, there are some other places that jumped up, but the biggest one was Rubio down to, and they didn't really mess with a whole lot of anybody else as a starting, I guess. I don't know if they used John Lucas or Zach LaVine, whoever, but Zach LaVine jumped up 1. But looking at the team itself of what Mizzy's put together, he's got to be the favorite coming into this Texas. I mean, he number 1 power ranking all year long. His one line only lost 1 game, which was against Golden State, and Crow's team. I want to point out Crow's line. So going up against Cleveland, Minnesota, Cleveland, who do you have winning and in how many games?
I'll take. I mean, it'd be absurd not to think that Minnesota is gonna win this. So I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go Minnesota in 6. I'm going Minnesota in 6.
You just think that one line is too strong? It's going to push them.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think one line is like a lot of people talk to me about. Oh, well, one line is so great they can't be beat. And I think that's very rare to find, because obviously they were beat by Golden State, last week of the season. So I don't think it's the one line, but I think it's just overall in general that Minnesota just has a great team. Both lines are solid. So One's great and one's solid. So I mean, I'm gonna take them at 6, and that's giving Cleveland some. I feel like you know, with that sweep last week, that was pretty impressive. I mean, anytime you sweep a playoff team, that's really impressive. So, I mean, good for them, and then maybe they can do something crazy here. But I'm gonna take Minnesota in 6 just because of what they've done all season has been so outstanding. I don't see them slowing down.
Yeah, they're going to be very hard to stop, I think. But jumping right over to realist, Minnesota, Cleveland. I know you probably have Cleveland, but how many games are you going to beat Minnesota in?
I'm not making no predictions. I'm just gonna show up and play the games, and that's what we're gonna do. I don't really judge my teams when it comes to the playoffs. I just feel that's unfair to be biased or to pick against my team. That's not right. I'm just focused on them going into the this week coming up.
Let's go one step forward. I know you want to be in the finals. Who do you want to meet in the finals? Let's say that you get past the Minnesota Timberwolves, which of course that's where your focus is. Anybody playing their focus not to, then why are you even bother showing up? Who would you rather see, or does it really matter between Portland or Golden State there?
Uh, uh, doesn't really matter at the end of the day because they're two of the better teams in the league. But if I had to pick a team, probably I'd rather face Portland.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you one bit there. I'd like to see a rematch, Golden State and Cleveland. However, I've got Golden State and Minnesota on my bracket. I'm out of the playoffs, so I can. That's my job, is to guess who's going to be there. Now, I voted against you before, and you proved me wrong. So, realist, I mean, it's all the way it is. But just based on the numbers and the wins and losses throughout the season, again, one strong line. I think that Minnesota Timberwolves are going to be very difficult to beat. Being a number 10 team, you got to have the props of getting there. I want to a huge shout out to Abyss. It's nice to see a guy that's been around for a long time, even back in the old VFL days and VBA days, to have, in competition for the Larry O'Brien or the Eastern Championship. And I know he's been here a couple times, but it's nice to see him put together a team, and he's always been one of the more solid owners and does what he's got to do in order to put together that team. So I've got Minnesota versus Golden State in the finals. Each team, please prove me wrong. Like I don't want to be right on this one. So if it's Cleveland and Portland, then great, I'm wrong. I've been right so far. So moving forward, anything you have to add on the playoffs? Start with you, Texas.
There was something, but I was watching the Dallas game and kind of just like lost my train of thought. So
What's the score?
What's the score? 7-3 Dallas. Still, Minnesota's driving though.
At least you
right
guys
there.
aren't slapping us yet.
We'll see what happens. Well, not yet. It's still coming though. No, I'm sure.
Anything you want to add there, realist, on the playoffs? Or I know you don't like to make adjustments, and I can understand based on your own team, but anything you want to add to discussing the playoffs?
No, I'm good.
We'll move on then. EBA tonight, EliteTeamPlay.com, playoffs in full swing. Adding a new one here. It's called Commissioner's Corner, and I'm going to give it over to the commish, even though he's probably watching football. He's going to have to throw in his little, give him a little spot here there in the off season, because there's going to be a lot of changes and a lot of things that he's going to challenge the community with. And there's some things I want to discuss. So I'm going to take the driver's seat, take a step back, and hand it over to Texas James Smith, and let him kind of take over in his own Commissioner's Corner. Before we start that, I do have this to play though. All yours, Commish.
Oh, okay. First off, I want to give a thank you to Trainer for posting his thread in the forums, because I'm always looking for guys that want to improve the league, or ideas that they want to improve the league. I mean, anything. I mean, he's just throwing stuff out there, which is great. All this stuff that he's put out is good, and it's a good read, and it's good for the community to see things that we can do going on into the future if it's a possibility. And he does it nonstop, which I really appreciate. So I really want to give him a second and take a second here and thank him for that, because that's really great. I wish more guys would do it. Also, we are just now opening up the new season signups. So anybody that's out here that's listening to this, take your time and go sign up. I think that the guys that were blacklisted for this season are still not able to sign up, but I think Max was saying that at the end of the season, those guys will be able to sign up as well after the season is fully complete. So if you can't sign up right now because you were blacklisted for this season, give it a second. You'll be able to do that moving forward. Uh, Beyond that, I mean, there's a lot of things that we can discuss here. I want to take a second and go through these things that Trainer has posted. That cool with you guys? I don't know if you had a segment for that after this.
No, that's great. The Warriors / team draft. There's some things he brought up. I mean, I like everything he brought up. I like the fact that it's brought up. I mean, you can't make changes if people don't tell you what's wrong or how they feel it should go. It doesn't mean that everybody's right, but I'm with you on that. You have to first bring it up and say, hey, here it is, and let's discuss it. And I want to take the time out of the show here because the playoffs is pretty much all we've got going on right now, and the rest of us sitting around with our thumbs up our ass want to talk about next season already. I actually want the next season to start so quickly. So, and the quicker we can get some of this stuff figured out, the quicker you guys can get some of this stuff figured out, you and your staff, we can move on, and start next season quickly as possible. So, it's best to open it up, the discussion. I'm going to give it to you. I mean, the Warriors team draft discussion, let's have that discussion now amongst the three of us. He pretty much lays out, I'm trying these two issues together because I feel my idea solves the problem. There's a lot of rambling about banning the Warriors before the season. It kind of died out when Cleveland getting the Warriors and was kind of reignited with Crow taking them over. I kind of agree and disagree with that statement alone, only because, we didn't think Cleveland was going to do anything with him, but even with not so good players, Cleveland was still competing, other than corrupted. X him out, even Outtaker X him out, because they're both, solid players, I would put on a team, but take away those two guys, and they still, their bottom team was still winning games with guys I wouldn't put on a squad. I don't think can compete on a different squad. So I do think that I just don't think it was as much crying. So moving forward. So what he's got here is he wanted to implement something to even the playing field a little more. He also wanted to add in the ability to trade your pick in case you want more salary cap, so you can trade your pick down. It's a scale with 2 lines, 10 teams. The pick one would start out with $15 million. It would go from there. What are your thoughts on this, James? Just give the thoughts. I mean, it's not something we're going to put into place tomorrow, of course. You have to meet with your team and discuss it and see if this is something that can, even be doable. From the EC site, and I put on my CEO hat here, that's not a problem for me to do something like this. I see a couple holes in in discussing this. I guess first let's start off with the Warriors banning discussion. I know we've already had this discussion on the show, but let's kind of start off there. Realist, you're 100% behind banning the Warriors. My question to you is, you ban the Warriors, why not stop with Cleveland? Why not stop with Portland? Why not stop with a couple other teams that are just broke in the league?
When it comes to every other team in the league, I just feel like there's the gap from the Warriors compared to whoever else you think is the second best team on 2K. Like, for instance, I can ask you this right now. Both Ice and James. I'll ask James first. Other than Golden State, who do you feel is the second best team on 2K?
Okay, let me respond with this real quick. I'm having some issues because the Dallas game is pissing me off. But I started out completely against banning the Warriors, because I was like, it's a sim league. The Warriors they're an NBA team. They need to be here. Yada yada, all this stuff. And then brought up exactly what Ice just said. If y'all go back and look at like this episode 1, episode 2, whenever we talk about something like that, then you'll hear me talk about that. But I have been swayed here. I have been changed. I heard a lot of people, you realists, have brought it up. Ice has brought it up. Some other guys around the league has brought it up. Like, what happens if a squad like Miz right now gets the Warriors? Like, if he has all his guys right now, he has the Warriors right now. Then, I mean, who's gonna beat those guys? How are you going to compete? You're just here to play at that point. You're just here to have some fun. And I mean, you know, you're right. I mean, there's not another. I mean, there's not another team on the floor that could compete with Golden State. I think they got 490s, or if not like 390s and 89,
Well,
or
they
something like
they
that.
dropped it. They dropped Clay and Draymond to 88s, I believe. But I
Even
mean,
still, that's
if you look at their stats, they're equivalent to a 90.
right.
Still,
Even still, even dropping them to 88, that's 290s and 288s. You know what I mean? I
Right.
mean, that's
Yeah,
that's
but
wild.
I
And
mean,
I don't,
I do
there's not
like
even
the
another
point.
team out there that's even close to that.
I do like the point Trainer made, though, and this is I agree with him 100% on this point. And this is just me just jumping in right now while you guys are discussing it. You said, well, what if Mizzy had to, you know, is going to win it all? If he says here that there would be universal crying, ban the Warriors, blah blah blah. If you know Mizzy win it all, whatever. But you can't set up a fair system, and I agree 100% with this. If you go, well, what if this guy gets it and this guy like it doesn't become fair at that point. Then what you're doing is you're picking based on.
Okay,
You know,
I'll respond to that as well.
yeah.
What happens if anybody gets them? I mean, in general, it doesn't matter. I mean, if somebody gets the Warriors, it's an issue. I mean, it's a problem. I mean, it could have been. I mean, if the Spurs would have got the Warriors, if this season Spurs would have got the Warriors, I mean, they would not be last right now. They would not have quit right now. They would still be in the season. They'd be in the playoffs. I mean, it'd be a completely different story, man. I mean, it doesn't matter just because there's not another team on 2K. This is the best team that has ever touched the floor on 2K ever. I mean, like, please, somebody reply on this thread if y'all can think of another team that has been on 2K that is as good as the Warriors are right now. And I mean, consider
I
JaVale
can't.
McGee the glitch.
Not since team play.
Right. Consider JaVale McGee the glitch. I mean, even their 5 is ridiculous because JaVale McGee is something insane. Yeah, his numbers and his overall might not be great, but come on, man. Anybody that's ever played as a big knows that JaVale McGee's a savage. And he was a savage back when he was on the Nuggets on 2K, and he's still a savage right now. I mean, it's crazy, man.
So who do
And
you think the
I've
number
been
2
swayed
team
on this.
is, and where do you stop banning at that point? I mean, just ban the top 10, or you ban just the first
I think
one and then play.
you-
This
you-
is the situation from there.
Yeah, I mean, if I was, I'm gonna leave it up to a vote, but I mean, I'm gonna let the community talk about it, and we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna post it in the community and see what everybody's take on it is in the off season, and we're all gonna talk about it. And I'm open to talk about anything like this in the chat. I mean, in a party chat, I'm gonna talk to anybody about it that want to embrace their ideas and tell me what they think about it. I'm open minded to anything, but I'm saying that there is not a clear number 2, and that's the issue. That I mean, with a team like Cleveland, even Portland, I mean, some of these other there shouldn't be a clear number 1. I mean, there shouldn't be, but how far away the separation from Cleveland and Portland to Golden State is, I mean, miles. I mean, it's wild how much better and that's the only reason why this is being brought up. This has never even been thought of before, taking a team out of the league. Madden, hockey, 2K, any team play league we've ever done on the site before and EliteTeamPlay.com. There's never been even a thought of something like this, and just for this to even be in somebody's mind, much less a lot of people's mind, is wild and brings concern. And I think that's what all this is about. I mean, what do you think, Realist or Ice? I mean, Ice, what is your take on this overall? I mean, I know you're here for the conversation starter and everything about, you know,
Yeah, you go ahead.
Who do we
Quick,
stop
Ice.
banning? But
on the
what is your
fence.
overall thought on this in general?
I'm really on the fence on this whole thing, and the reason why is because the idea behind the league, and I'm speaking first. I'm going to speak with my CEO, and then I'm going to speak with my player cap on. Okay, my CEO cap says that it's supposed to be a simulation style league, and with that, all teams should be available. It's not our fault or the league's fault that they're broke. It's not. I mean, it's the way that Miami Heat was once the big 3, which I still think this team's better than them, but that's the part of the fence that I'm saying that they shouldn't be banned. We should come up with another more intelligent way. Maybe the draft idea, maybe something. There's a couple holes in that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But maybe something moving forward that we can come up with without having to draft or without having to do that. Maybe we all agree that, hey, nobody can pick anybody that's made it to the playoffs. That way, so people are trying out different teams and are enjoying. Maybe we'll see the Lakers a little bit this year. Maybe we'll see Chicago Bulls, which should be the next team picked because I love the Bulls. I'd like to see some other teams picked. I know in the past in other leagues, even in the EFL, we said, okay, the top 10 teams are out. Anybody below the top 10 teams, you're allowed to pick, which then I think made it a little more competitive because then you had holes, but it also created this thing where a lot of people were, when the season was over, they were glad the season was over because they were done playing with, whatever garbage, with the Lions or with, whatever garbage team that they had major flaws with. So that's part of the fence. The other part of the fence I'm on says absolutely as a player because I hate playing against them. I mean, even if I was on the team, it's going to make me better. So I guess it's one way or the other, but I absolutely would hate playing against. I don't care who, if it's Crow, if it's Cleveland, if it's out. I don't care who's playing the other side. You can't make a mistake. You make a mistake, it's over. You might as well just. We held them all the way to 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter they 20-3 us or 20-8 us or something because we made some mistakes. We were trying to push the ball inside the paint, made a couple turnovers. Next thing you know, they're beating us by 20 points because it just feels broken. It feels like you're climbing a hill. And as a player, if I'm on, let's say next season I get drafted to Chicago Bulls and that's my team, and you got somebody that has a really good team that's playing with Cleveland or playing with Golden State, as a player, it almost I'm still going to compete because I'm a competitor, but it still almost kicks me in the nuts of saying, why bother? Just give the trophy to these guys. Let's start a new pick. Let's start a new season. Because, and this goes into a more in-depth issue that we have with the league, and we can talk about this in a minute, but the more in-depth issue is how broken the league is with the buddy-buddy system, and I'm going to get my friends, and as an owner, I'm going to let him get his friends because I know if I bid on them, they're going to quit on me or ask to go on IR or, so it's almost like game battles, but we're allowing Golden State and we're allowing some team to be a super team and everybody else is just, fighting for seconds. But that's just, like I said, from a player and an owner side, I'm switched up on it. So go ahead. I won't take all the time, Realist. You go ahead and drop your thoughts and let's move on.
Okay. Well, as you know, Ice, we sat me, you, and I came to the party one night with you and Mags. We hung out for a couple hours just talking about, 2K, college football, stuff like that. But we were talking about the Warriors. Obviously, James wasn't in there, so he doesn't know what we discussed. But I looked for, I think, it was 40 minutes, 45 minutes on, my player, the builds of each my player. And I sat there and looked how to make not online or anything, just doing it myself, how to make a player similar to Kevin Durant. And with the stats Kevin Durant has on 2K, you can't make somebody as good as Kevin Durant. And then also, you can't make a guy as good as Steph Curry. So I just feel like when you have two players that are not able to be, created, which, mostly on any type of video game, if you can create a character, he can normally be better than a normal player. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Absolutely. 99, 99, 99, 99, all the way down the list.
Well, you can't even do that on this 2K, which and it's they've also made the my player threshold different to trying to make it as simulation as possible. But I mean, when we're talking about a sim league, when you can't make a created player as good as the best team on the game's best 2 players, that's a little bit of a gray area to me. As far as we were talking about, besides the Warriors, who are the better teams on the game, I just asked King Mizark, since we were talking about Mizark getting the Warriors with his team, um, you know, uh, with him getting the Warriors, would it even be fair? I just asked him who he felt were the top 5 teams on the game, in his opinion, like if he was to draft. He said his top 5 teams are the Golden State Warriors, Portland Trailblazers, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Cavs, and the Raptors. And he said that's his order. In order. Just thought I would say that. It was random, but yeah, that's what he said.
I don't know if you give if you ask every single owner if they're what their number one, if they get the number one draft pick, what their number one draft pick is going to be, I guarantee every single one of them will say Golden State. Every single one.
100%. Unless it's trainer just to be an asshole.
Yeah. No, he would still say Golden State. Maybe it would be best to ask all the owners, or maybe take a group of like 20 people or something like that, like well-known people in the community, and just ask, hey, if you were an owner and you had, the first pick, but you couldn't pick the Warriors, who they would take. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like ask something like that, or you know what I mean? But I don't think there's really I don't really think there's any team as close to Golden State. Before the patch, the patches that came out with the fixing the screens and things like that, I still thought Golden State was close. I mean, I thought Golden State was always the best, but I thought Portland was, not far behind, because I felt Lillard and McCollum could shoot you into a game just like Durant and Curry can. But since the patches came and then the Warriors added JaVale McGee, I just feel they're so much better than Golden State.
It's something.
And I do think the Warriors are the second best. Blazers. I do think the Blazers are the second best team on 2K. That's just me. But if you're asking me the margin between those two, it's a wide margin. And I even heard from, I think, 3 players that are currently on the Warriors that don't think they should be able to be used next season.
Yeah, I mean, let's move on, because we could probably talk about this all night, but that's definitely something in the off season. Everybody that is passionate about this, please take a look at the forums when when that discussion comes up, so you can vote yes, no, whatever. And don't be afraid to make a post and share your thoughts, just like Trainer did here. I want to continue with Trainer's post if it's okay. Now, the team draft mentality, I do like the fact that you can trade your draft picks, because right now you can't. There's no point of trading your draft, who you're picking, what teams where. There's no point of doing that. There would bring a point to it with changing the overall salary cap, which I understand, 15 mil to 19 mil. There's a couple holes I had with this, and I kind of just wanted to get quick thoughts, and then we can move on. The hole I have is when you're trading players, you can never trade a player unless he's under 2 or 3 mil from pick 1 to pick 10. It's gonna screw everything up. Unless pick 10 did the Spurs and picked everybody 500K, and then it really doesn't matter. But that's the rare situation. It's not the actual situation. And most owners, if they're doing their job scouting, which is something we can talk about for hours again, should be close to their salary cap. I mean, it's given to you. You can't take it home. You can't cash it out. Why are you not bidding on the best players you can get? The only reason you wouldn't be is to fill your team up with your buddies or your friends, which works sometimes doesn't. But if when you say I need a center, you should be bidding on the best center available. And when he becomes out of your price range with your cap, you then bid on the second best center available. I mean, that's realistically how that should go. Unfortunately, we have crybabies that go, if I go to this team, I'm not playing, and if I go to this team, but like I said, again, we could talk for hours on that. But there's a couple. That's the 2 holes I see with the system. Is in a perfect world, this system would work, where we didn't have players running the league, and right now we do. I feel we have players running the league over owners and even sometimes over staff situation where players have more control or feel like they have more control because they whine and cry and bitch and just quit because quitting is the easiest way out. So that's the first hole. The second hole is trading. Trading would be a nightmare to try to keep up with. Okay, you got 15 mil. Okay, you got 15.5. Okay, you got 16.5. Okay, you got 17 mil. When we go in the bidding system, the back end, just so site, put my CEO cap on site, it doesn't affect out. Every time we enter in a team, we tell them how much money they have to be bidded or how they can use bidding, and it should block them once they hit that number unless there's a bug in the system like there was one season. Anyway, and everybody can do math, so there shouldn't be any reason if I tell pick one that you got 15 mil and you've already eaten up 3 mil on a GM or whatever they decide to do, you've got 12 mil going in. That shouldn't be the problem. The problem is trying to trade a inter-league if you're trying to move somebody, and let's say you paid 4 mil for him. You can't move him, except to the other bottom 3 teams. And so you're putting the best players on the worst team, and you're expecting them to be okay with that, which is another hole. What do you think, Texas, of this idea?
I like the concept, but like I'm with you. Like it's a cool idea, and it's awesome for trainer to open his mind up enough to do some stuff like this. Which, I mean, it opens up incentive for the trade, which is cool to trade your team draft. But there's just too many holes. Maybe we can figure this out in the future. I don't see it happening next season per se. This is because there's so many things that you have to look for.
Somebody's got
As
some
this
crazy noise going on.
alarm is going off in the background.
Sorry.
There we go. And there's just so many things to look for as of holes in this. Like you said, trading would be disastrous. Like pick 6. I mean, pick 10 goes for a player at like 8 mil or 9 mil or whatever, and then you want to trade him or he demands a trade, and you can't shop him because the rest of the teams don't have the salary even close to the salary that you need to pick him up. Just along those lines, that there's just so many ways, salary wise and moving people wise, that it could be very difficult to do. So maybe we can figure something out in the future. Something like that. I'd love to sit down with trainers one day and brainstorm just a lot of his ideas, because I mean he has a lot of great ideas for the league, and I love that. And I wish more people would come forward with their ideas, because I know people out there have good ideas and they want to share them, but they're like, oh, I just don't want to take the time, but nobody's gonna listen. I'm here. You can shoot me a party invite and we could talk about it, voice to voice with it. I'm down. So share your ideas is a great idea. I don't think it's gonna work right now. Maybe in the future we can come up with something like that. So yeah, but
I mean, it's all
a
still
great
all up for
idea.
discussion. I mean, you and your
It
team
is,
can
absolutely.
discuss and see, and even maybe even have an
Absolutely.
owners vote once you pick the
100%.
owners or something like that, and see where it comes out. Now, Rillis, just real quick, the team draft side, you looked at that. What do you think? I mean, is that able to trade draft picks based on where you pick up your overall? Do you see any issues with that?
I'm not really a big fan of that idea, just because, like you guys have both said, it would cause so much to keep track of what had the who has this amount of salary, and then people have different amount of salaries. My thing I've always been for is, if we go away from the bidding we go for now, would be the uh the draft issue, like the draft point, like where you just say, hey, maybe you do 2 rounds of draft this night, 2 rounds of draft that night, 3 rounds this night, something like
Right.
that. I do like the being able to um maybe trade draft picks. Like, for instance, if, like, you ran to where, okay, this guy was the 10th pick, like if we're in a 10-team league, this guy had 10th pick, okay, he gets the first, you know, um, pick in the draft. But you got a guy who's willing to maybe give up his um, second overall, you know, team draft pick to trade back to get like the 9th uh thing, so he could focus on maybe getting a better roster instead of you know,
Better team.
a better team. I like that. I do like that. But I've always been for the draft over the bidding, just because I think um, maybe you'll have maybe instead of if you do that, you'll have guys who you'll have the better players in the league actually step up and be owners instead of going to the bidding, and then when they get to a team they don't want to, they just bitch and whine and complain about getting out. And maybe those the better players of the league will step up and be owners. So then when better players are owners, like you won't like the lesser guys in the league, they'll be fucking ready to try out to go play with the better
Why would
players of the league.
better players be owner? I'm confused at where you lost me somewhere in that statement. You're saying better players will want to be owners in a draft system instead of a bidding system? I mean, we're off the subject,
yeah,
but I still
because
wanted to ask why you feel that. Why would better players want to step up and be owners in a draft system instead of a bidding system?
well, because they get to draft their players and they don't get stuck with, they if you go into a
But they're
draft,
still going to get stuck with guys. They're still not going to get their guys. In fact, it's probably you're shaking up the league more. There's a couple issues with the draft system that is realistic issues as well, which I'm okay with either or. I don't care, so we're clear on this. But I mean, it's completely up to the community to decide. But there's a couple issues. One is trading amongst. You can't trade a first round pick for a fifth round pick because of the salary issue, because then what you're doing is locking in the salary in order to make the EC work. So all first rounds are $4 million, all second rounds are $3 million, so on and so forth. So then none of the top guys can only be traded for other first round picks. You can't trade a first round pick for a third round pick like you can now, based on the money, based on the quality, based on, that the 500K players, as is proven in this thing, and we'll go over in a minute, that are being majority all-stars. So if those players are picked high, they can't be traded, but other players that are there.
What if we could figure something out with, like, giving some, like, on there? Because I love the draft system out there. I think that's dope. I think that's cool. I mean, we've thought about it. I mean, it's been, obviously, everybody thinks about that, in the league, because it's something cool and it's something real that we see every season in football, basketball, hockey. There's a draft and everything. So I mean, obviously everybody thinks about that, what we can do with that. I mean, we did a TC draft this year, which was pretty cool. But I mean, that's minute compared to what we're talking about. But I mean, why couldn't we just give a little salary space? Like if we do a draft and then like give an extra like $5 or whatever million of salary space for trade space. I mean, that something like that could work. That would be a cool idea. I mean.
So
yeah, but then also you have the situation of being stuck with. It's harder to move people. First issue. The second issue is that, and I mean that's a basic issue unless you expand the cap to $5 million, and then you're playing with some back in EC, which I'm okay with. I'm just saying then you're playing with the ability to say, okay, well, why even have a salary cap at all? You can just trade whoever you want for whoever you want, because that's pretty much what you're saying if you extend it out. So really, it doesn't matter what pick or what your salary is. It just means you can move players around.
I mean, if we expand the salary, we can like make a requirement where like you can only like a 1 up 1 down rule. You can only trade 1 up or 1 down. Something like that can expand that. I mean, there's so many ways to do it. Yeah. 2 up, 2 down. Something like that. Well, I mean, obviously that's just an idea of what.
And I'm not defending it. I'm just explaining the issues that I see with it. But to go a bit further than that, and this is just one of my complaints on the season, and this is not affected at you or your staff, Texas. Please don't take it personally. But one of the complaints I had is I seen some really lopsided trades go through this season and go, what the fuck? How is that even happening? Where I know under Return of the King, he would, which some people say he did it for his benefit or whatever, but I know under his commissioner, they would, if they saw a lopsided trade, they'd call him out on it. No, this shit ain't going through. This isn't happening to us, or this isn't even a realistic trade. You're gonna trade Ice the Man for Corrupted? No, that's not even a real trade. Sorry. Stuff like that. It's so
that okay. Let me defend that one. That was a demanded trade issue where he had to get rid of Corrupted.
I understand the situation. I'm just using it as an example. But there's other trades. I'm just
you
using
don't have
me
to give
because
me
that
something
like
better than that one.
well, there's some lopsided trades that happened this season that I know that would have been declined elsewhere. I mean, to give you a flip side, if someone that so I mean I know you know this already, but I'm going to share with the listeners. If someone demands a trade and they can't find a place to trade them, a fair value place to trade them, then they go to a training camp, a randomized training camp, somebody else's randomized training camp.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to have the cap to pull that person up, or they just sit on the training camp for the rest of the season. Not good for the player, not good for the league because the team's out a player. So I understand what you were doing majority of the time because we've discussed this before.
The
I'm just
Constitution
saying.
doesn't state that, though. It doesn't state find a fair, reasonable trade to trade. Because, I mean, who am I, though? I mean, who are we to say that wasn't fair? Because, I mean, Clippers got Ice the Man, which was a very active player, which will show up in every game, which is what the Clippers needed at the time. And
Like I said, I was using that one as an example, but I understand why that happened. There was a different situation, and you were doing what's best for the league. I'm just saying, in the past, even there was a couple trades there at the end of the season that I know for a fact the Rockets were trying to dump their roster. He just had enough, and he just wanted to dump their roster. And there was a couple trades that got
and the trades got reversed, and they did not go through.
Okay, so that's neither here nor there, but that's something completely off the subject. I didn't mean to, like I said, take a personal shot at you. I'm just saying I know.
No, I mean it's not personal. I just want to know like, which ones, for example. I mean, besides that, because that's a demand of trade. I mean, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
For example, which ones? Because the ones that did were roster dumps.
Well, I know John was another one, but that was a demand of trade.
That was another demand of trade.
So I mean, the situation.
And that one wasn't a lopsided trade. I mean, if you think Doomby is that great, then by all means. But I mean, we're not here to judge the players. You know what I mean? I mean that's not like who am I to say that he won't benefit the other team as much as the other one? Like I mean, unless you got an MVP guy in the MVP race being traded for a guy that has only played 7 games, then obviously that's something to look at. But that didn't happen.
The situation that happened where people were dumping their player because that's what Caro wanted on his team, giving him everybody he wanted. I mean, that's on the owners. That's not on the staff. But
absolutely,
it's still a frustrating thing to see from a player's side where this team's just picking up all his boys, and this team's. I mean, at that point, we're game battles like we discussed before, which we'll get into later. So moving on to the team draft, do you have any comments you want to make on this? I know Realist made a couple comments, but let's kind of roll forward because we're running out of time here. End of season re-signing. When I first read this, in my mind said resigning, and I was like, well, yeah, that's what you do at the end of the season. You resign. You don't resign in the middle. It's called blacklist. Anyway, it's re-signing, and ICE is not reading properly. So it's an issue where no owner will admit or want to change, but it needs to be done. With our current setup, this is from Trainer, at the end of the season, I can contract one player and their salary jumps $500K, 1 to 1.5 million, depending on their current salary. I think he wants it to jump more from my understanding here. And he has a pretty good system here. It says, look at the all-star candidate list. Too Cool, Assassin, 1 mil. Too Cool, 500K. Mantis, 500K. Woody, 500K. Rara, 500K. Swizzark, 500K. Which Swizzark was a steal. He was a rookie. Blitz, 500K. Sticks, 1 mil. Illmatic, 500K. Quickie, 1.5. Sourcey, 500K. Yours truly, Ice the Man, 500K. Hustle, 500K. King Hunt, 500K. Bud, 500K. James, 500K. Outtaker, 500K. There's a lot of 500K all-stars there that he just listed out to prove his point. What are your thoughts on this one? I'll go to Realist first because I kind of already know James, but it's just what are your thoughts on this, the re-signing?
Oh, like re-signing a player. Okay, I was kind of zoned out, but from what I'm getting, I caught the tail end of it. Trainer talking about signing players that like went for cheap and then basically re-signing them when they may go back into the bidding and they would probably be more expensive based on their results from the previous season.
Yeah, so for instance, if Defeat was going to remain owner, which I know he's not, I believe he's stepping up as staff, which is awesome. I appreciate, people stepping up and helping out the league. So he could say, I want to keep Ice the Man. I want to put him on a 2-year contract, and he's 1 mil. More than half the potential All-Stars are under 1 mil, and most of them will get contracted for only 500K more. Each owner will nab an All-Star for 1 million, which waters down bidding when every owner has an All-Star secured. We saw it in the last 2K how shallow bidding can get. There either needs to be a reverse to what we have now, or a salary tag system where you can re-sign a player, but his salary is in the top 5 at that position. Each owner has to make a decision on if the player you want to re-sign is really worth it. You see a huge spike in salary. So what happens is they'll take the top 5 positions at small forward, for instance. If they say I want to keep whoever, they would average the top 5 players at that position and say, you want to re-sign this guy, you're going to pay this salary tag on him. Is what he's recommending, which I kind of like, but I also don't like, because I would tell my owner, hey, every season I went for 500K. If you want to get me back, dude, nobody's trying me out. Nobody says, hey, I'm getting Ice the Man. You'll get me for 500K or $1 million. You're not going to get me for what the average small forward's going for, 3.5, 4 million. You're not going to pay that for me. You're going to pay 500K to $1 million. So for me, all you're doing is saying, yep, Ice, go back into the bidding and get rebid again, where I could be, signed with another team and feel like I've got a place there. So as a player, I don't like the system, but I want to shoot and get you guys' opinion. What's yours, Realist?
Honestly, I almost want to say there shouldn't be any re-signs. I think you should have to start fresh every season, because I'm not 100% sure, but how many re-signs do you get?
Well, it depends. The last season that we had was 3.
This season's going to be 1. You're going to get 1 extension. You're going to have 1 extension this year.
So you get 1 extension this year to keep somebody at 500K more than what you're currently paying them.
So one guy. So if I want to extend a 500K guy to $1 million, I can do that. Just one guy.
One guy.
I still almost think that's bullshit. Because Mizark's he's gonna extend, probably too cool maybe if he signs up again, and he's only gonna be $1 million. I'm pretty sure he would do that. Then you got, I don't know. I'm sure there's a Mike Man could do the same to Misty, and he's got another all-star point guard for. What does he go from, $1 million to $2 million, or is it $1 million to 1.5?
He goes to 1, 500 to 1. Didn't he go 500 or did he go to 1?
No, he went for 1. He went for 1.
Okay,
so what would he go to?
I think he'll go to 1.5. I think it's 1.5.
And I just don't think that's good, because he's better than that. Yeah, but both of those players that I just said.
Now flip backwards.
Right, but
I agree with what you're saying.
Also, I mean,
go ahead.
If he's better than that, then he should have got more money than what he originally got.
Yeah, but also that comes down to owners. Like I said,
Exactly. So I mean,
that comes down to the
that's
owners.
on all the owners that not want to bid on him. So I mean, they're gonna have to suffer the consequence of getting that 1-year extension. Now, no, let me go back to let me go back. I like this idea because I know it sounds like I'm against it, but I like this idea. I like what he's doing. I think he says. I mean, I haven't read all this because there's a lot to read, and I have a lot of things I gotta do every day before I can come home and take care of all the EBA stuff, but. I've skimmed through it, and I think he said something like, if I can find it, I don't know. I think he said something like the lower salary players get up more on an extension, and the higher salary players get up less, or something like that. Is that right? Ice, did you read through this all the way?
Yeah, I just read that. It said, let me see. No owners will admit to want to change. It needs current setup is at the end of the season, I can contract one player and their salary jumps 500K to 1.5 mil, depending on their current salary. 500K if it's on the lower end, and 1.5 if it's on the extreme high end. I believe that's how it works. If you're extremely high, it jumps 1.5. So if you're 500K to 1 mil, he's saying that at the very least, the salary raise should be reversed, where the 500K to 1 mil player should jump 1.5 mil, and the 6 to 8 player should only jump 500K. And I agree with that. I agree with that statement. If you want to hold on to a player from 500K to 1 mil, it should jump 1.5 million. So if you want to hold on to a 500 million player, it's going to be 2 mil now to hold on to him. If you want to hold on to a 6 to 8 million player, it's only 500K. So now it's 8.5 or 6.5. or 7.5. You know, jumps been half K increment. So I agree with what he's stating there, but he also goes into state that, you know, there either needs to be a reverse to what we have now or a salary tag system where you're actually placing a franchise tag on that player, which I'm all for building. I think part of the enjoyment of being an owner is being able to build your squad, your franchise, without going out and grabbing your buddies. But see, in a real world and in the EBA world, okay, like I said before, the EBA world is broken. I'm going to start to preach, get off my soapbox for a minute, but I can't help myself. The EBA world is broken. This is why it's broke, because you have people in here like, and I'm just going to call myself, like, let's say Ice the Man. I only want to play for this owner. And because he's my buddy, I want to play with him. And if I don't get on his team, I'm going to cry, bitch, and whine until I get on his team. So now, as another owner bids on me for 1 mil, 500K, whatever it may be, he knows I'm not going to play for him. I'm either going to do one of two things. Either I'm going to bitch and cry, not show up, and then he's going to blacklist me. Or 2, I'm going to quit and walk away. Or 3, he's going to be forced to put me on the team I want to be put on because I want to play with my buddy. Because signing up and my mentality doesn't go through and say, oh, this isn't game battles. I don't get my best 5 and you bring your best 5. This isn't the same thing. This is a fantasy-style league, a simulation fantasy-style league. So I agree with some of what he's saying here. However, it's in a realistic world where owners are doing their job and they're scouting like they should be scouting, and they're going into bidding going, I'm going for the best center I can get. Okay, I can't get him because he's over my crown. Now I'm going for the next best center. I'm going for the next best center. It's not the case. Owners go in and they go, I'm going to pick.
I got a lot of different opinions on that. I don't mean to cut you off here, but like the best center available is different to everybody, because some people they want chemistry, other people they want rebounding, other people they want spread the floor. I mean, there's so many different aspects to best. I mean, there's just so many different ways.
Are there better centers than you in the league?
Who's the best for what? Yes, there is better centers than in the league.
So Mike Man being your friend, and I'm just picking at you personally, Mike Man being your friend, he went after you because 1, he knows you're going to show up. 2, he knows that you're reliable.
Yep.
3, he knows that
because I'm not a personality problem.
He's not a personality problem. So he went for you because he can get you cheap and put you on the team, which is somewhat the issue that I have, but is also realistic. I mean, it's in the real world. That's what you want as an owner. You want the less problems as possible. You don't want because it's a task. However,
some people are going to avoid talent to avoid issues.
In a perfect world, that's perfect world. I would rather have Fig, or I would rather have, Fig was already taken. I'm just naming a couple other centers that I think
Fig was on my team. Fig was already.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's other better centers than you out there on our different teams. So as an owner, I should fill the position the best I feel possible. Now, small forward's not a concern for me, so I can go after somebody 500K and not hurt my team. But do I go after my buddy, or do I go after the best small forward I can get for 500K? But again, I go after my buddy because that's who I want on my team. You don't understand what I'm saying?
I mean, I've been an owner, and I've been the GM, and I'm telling you, like I've shied away from better players because it's a locker room issue. And like you get one player that's a locker room issue, then it's gonna affect another player, and then you got another issue. There's so many more ways to look at it than just a certain specific skill. I mean, like some players are better offense, some players are better defense. I mean, who are we to say like an offensive player is better than a defensive player, or a rebounder is better than
no? It's based on your build. But what I'm saying is somebody will take a drop
fit the bill
based on
in that situation.
Someone will take a drop in that position in order to play with their friend instead of playing, and nobody else would bid on that. I mean, you're a different situation. I'm talking about like the hot shots or the other guys of the world.
No, I know. I'm just saying in general.
Who wanted a buddy on their team, so they went and got. I mean, Shump pretty much built that team in Toronto. I know because I was a part of it this year. Shump pretty much built that team in Toronto. Shump went to Fair, and Fair said, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get Swizzerk, and I'm going to get Hot Shot on the same line. And they're like, yeah, okay, great. So he went after, nailed Shump, nailed Swizzerk, for 500K, and went after and got Hot Shot for a lot of money. And other people were bidding on him, so his value went up. So he's not the same situation that I'm discussing here. It's those lower valued players that they're going after, and they get on a team, and then I don't want to be here, or I want to play, like he played 2 games with Valanciunas, then quit, like walked away, hurt the whole team. It killed us the first week. We were already having problems with our second line. Now we got a center that won't play. Our training camps aren't there. I mean, it just completely killed our season. It was over.
Let me use an example on the flip side. You got Caro, okay, which everybody knows. Everybody that's listening to the show right now, and yes, I'm talking to you. Everybody knows that he goes after his boys. Okay, right? Are we all in agreement with that, realist Ice? We're all in agreement that Carell goes after his people. Now, that being said,
Yeah.
no, you don't think Carell goes after his boys?
I think he
Fights
has a
in
select few he
trades
goes after, but it's not his 10. It's like his
okay,
4
I'll
well,
say
even
or
this.
3.
even his
I'll
select
say
few.
this. For his
Go
line,
ahead.
he goes for the people he's comfortable with. For the second line, he's trying to get the best players he can.
Okay, exactly. Now, with that being said, his line, they aren't the best in the league. They fit his style of play, which makes them best for him. So, like, we all know Bebe's not the best point guard in the league. We all know that, whoever the hell else the boss, ain't the best center in the league. But they fit that role, which makes it best for him. So, to go after your buddies in certain situations is best for you and is best for your team. And that's the flip side of the argument because like it's not up to us to say, well, he needs to go for this guy because he's the best because that might not be the best situation for him. You know what I mean?
No, but for
And
the
and
other
that's
owners in the league to not recognize talent or not scout well enough, that's the big problem. They've already got set in their
But
mind.
it's the
I'm going
same for them
after I'm
too,
going
though.
after Texas James Smith. How many? And then you won't, just as an example, you won't even try out for other teams because you know your buddy's going after you. And if you go to another team, you're not going to be happy because you want to play with your buddy. I mean, it's the same situation we've dealt with for every league I've ever ran, from back League Arena, VHL Season 1, God, I'm old. They're the
right,
same
agreed.
situation.
There are guys out there. I
Same
agree.
situation.
There are guys out there that won't try out for anybody because they want to play. I've done it. I mean, I know. I've been there. I've not tried out for anybody. Like back when I first came in the VFL, I didn't play for anybody. I didn't want to try for because I knew where I wanted to go. And my boy was like, "Yo, don't try for anybody because then they'll just pick you up." Just this is when I first heard about the league. So I've done it. I know what you're talking about. And yeah, it's cheesy, but there's no way to avoid that because I mean we can't be like, hey, you better get in that game and try out for this guy. Like I mean, so yeah, that as a player ways that is going to be an issue, but the owner aspect, yeah, I don't think that it's right to be like, they're not doing their job right because they're going for their buddies because in a certain aspect, playing for your friends is the best situation for you. Playing for your boys that you can get in there and have the best chance to win it's the best situation for you. Like Carell, like he's the best example I can use. I mean, the guys on his line around him are his homies. Baby ain't that great. I mean, Baby is not that good at all. And he talked to me the other day and he was like, "Yo, why you always throwing shade my way?" But I mean, just for an example, because he cries and bitch because he's not sucking on that Carell tit over in another team, and he wants to be with him. He wants to be with Daddy. You know what I mean? So he's the perfect example to use here. But he's not the greatest, but he's the best for Carell because that system that they play together works for Carell. So and I mean, so it's give and take, and I
Helps a
understand what
lot
you're
with the
saying.
team that they're on as well. But I
No,
understand.
absolutely. But I mean, he'd be on this team no matter what team he'd be on.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. But I mean, I understand what you're saying because it is faulty where these guys aren't trying out, aren't giving it a fair go because they might enjoy themselves, man. How are you gonna ever learn? I mean, get to know other people or other owners. You don't get out there and try out for another team.
Well, I had a
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I
conversation
understand
before
as
the
a
show
dad.
earlier today. I had a good hour conversation with a friend of mine, Outtaker, Jake, and we were discussing some different things about the site and so on and so forth. And this conversation came up exactly how it is. I don't get anything out of this site. I don't cash a check at the end of the month. I actually put more into it than I ever will get out. The only thing that I enjoy is I've met some pretty badass dudes on this site. Like Mags, I bet way back in the old season VFL. Blaze is another guy. Texas James Smith, Realist. I mean, I would have never known you guys.
I was really rooting for you not to leave me out.
I would have never known a lot of these guys. Outtaker, if I didn't have the same mentality that I have now, where I sign up to this league as a fantasy style mentality, I will go to any team, will play for any owner. All that I ask is that he works around my schedule, which my schedule's not rough lately because, whatever. And that he works with me to put me in the best position to win. That's it. That's all I ask for out of any owner.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
the mentality
I don't see
of
that,
the majority of the people that click that sign up button should have that similar mentality. If your buddy gets you, great, but if he doesn't, you should still play for the other guy. You're talking from a position that says, from a position that says, hey, I want to go play with my buddy. My buddy gets me, great, we're set. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is wrong with is the mentality of I click this button, sign up, and I should be given the power of who I play for, when I play, what team I play for. I should have that power, which you don't. You don't as a player. You should not. And right now the EBA is broke because there's too many people that think they have that power. Now there's going to be a percentage no matter what, but that percentage was rather high in the last few seasons. That percentage that's why we're getting a lot of people, I quit, I'm walking away, I blah blah, I'm a crybaby little bitch, because their mentality is I should play on the best team and have the best stats and be the best player, and if I'm not the best, then I don't want to waste my time playing. That's the wrong mentality to have.
I agree.
I sign up to join
I'm 100%
and
with
play.
you on that.
So I mean, that's we can talk about this for hours. Let's move along here. There's a couple other things I want to hit on.
Before I got one more thing to
Go
say
ahead.
before we move on. I agree with you 100%, and like with that, and I just feel like it's not on the owners. I think it's more on the players, like you said, not trying out for other teams and not giving themselves a fair chance to enjoy the sim aspect of this league.
And I would agree with you if there isn't proven points of owners doing shady shit, like go on IR until you get to play with me. Like I would agree with you if there isn't owners that back up that mentality of those players. Now, if there's owners that stand beside me and go, dude, I drafted you, or I picked you up out of bidding, or I picked you up out of training camp, you will play. I'll work around your schedule because that's what you're asking out of me, and I'll also give you the best opportunity to win. If that's not good enough for you, I can, one, either trade you to wherever the fuck I want to trade you and get the best deal, or two, I can blacklist you and you can go find a different league to play in, because that's not this league. That's how the owners, but the owners don't do that. The owners play shady shit. I'll get my buddy, or I'll try to do this to get my, or hey, go on IR, or hey, don't try out for anybody, because just like your buddy told you, hey, don't try out for anybody else. That's not, I know you're trying to get the best deal, but that's not how the league works, man. In fact, you should say, hey, go try out for everybody else, because then I see what you're really worth, or if you're just having a couple fluke games with me. Anyway, let's move on. Go ahead. Realist, if you want to drop a line, go ahead.
The only thing I really had problem with on that issue this season is, even though he's a good guy, I wasn't a fan of what Timo did. And especially when you get a good team like the San Antonio Spurs. Like when you think of San Antonio Spurs, before you see an owner, you're like, fuck, man, Spurs, good 2K team. Yep. They're good. Spurs are good. And when you have a guy like Timo who goes in there and gets his buddies, who, one, we that's not what we're about. We're about, growing as a community. But for one, we don't know much about any of his guys. You probably never heard of them. And then for them to come in and just give forfeit wins to people, and at the end of the day, that can hurt someone's chances of making the playoffs just because, oh, hey, I know we play the Spurs this week. Those are free W's.
Yep, and I gotta agree with you because at the end of that last week, I was looking at the Warriors schedule to see, how many times they played the Spurs and the Knicks and the Raptors, to see how hard their road is to pass us at the end of that season. So I 100% agree with you right there, and it's shady that people just quit. And what's even more shady is that there was not one blacklist. Not one blacklist came from the Spurs organization this year.
Whoa!
Nope, not one. And that's what happened.
Wow, I didn't know. I was not aware of that. I figured with all those forfeits, somebody would be blacklisted, but wow.
No. And you know what? And like I said earlier, every time I talk to Timo, or even when they did play, when I memorized some of the gamer tags that are on his roster, whenever they did play, for instance, I know we played them twice. We might have been scheduled, but we got 2 games in with them this season, our team. I know my line played one of them, and I think Abyss's line played the other. And I know, for instance, when I went into their party to get the game set up and everything, he had everybody from his roster in that party. So if you can get your whole roster in for that party for one game, they have to be in there at least 2 to 3 times a week like that. So how are these guys not getting games in? Are they just prioritizing other things, or are they just saying, hey, we can't compete in this league and we don't want to play?
I have no. I'm still surprised there's no blacklist.
Yeah, that I mean, it blew my mind too, bro. I don't. I mean, I tried to hit him up, like, look, why don't you blacklist somebody and then we can send you guys. And I kept trying to get it to happen, and by the time, like, I mean, they never came in. So I mean, then we ran out of TCs.
Okay,
and
I got a question.
What's up?
What as for you as the commissioner, I know you check into as much as possible with whatever time you have, because we all have stuff going on in non-video game life. But was there ever, like, did you ever sit down with Timo or contact him and, like, ask for his explanation on what the hell's going on?
I contacted him. I mean, I contacted him at the end of every week up until this last week where it was just like, I mean, we had no TCs. I mean, there was, at that point, at the very end last week, I mean, there was nothing. If I pulled them, then I couldn't replace anybody on that team. So, you know, but so, I did. And I mean, the first few, like, they forfeited, I think, like 2 times out of the first 2 weeks and then twice in the third week. So, you know, it wasn't like, it was like, okay, well, you know, he's trying, but his guys are late or something happened where they couldn't get on or something like that at that point. Now, in week 4, they played like 3 or 4 games and they forfeited. I'm like, dude, what the hell is going on? And
I don't think they played any games the last week, dude. I don't think they played one.
That was week 5. Yeah, they didn't play any week 5. No, they didn't play any. But week 4, they played like 3 or 4 of them or 3. And I was like, dude, what the hell's going on? You know, what was going on? He's like, dude, I can't get my guys on to play and shit. And I was like, okay, well, you know, so I sent him a couple of assignments, but and they had Metro over there, and I don't know why he would just not try to use his TCs or what the whole situation was, but I contacted him and he was like, I'm trying to get my guys on. I even contacted him last week, like, bro, are you gonna play this week? He's like, bro, I can't get none of my guys in here to play. I'm like, dude, you got TCs, you know, trying to get a few games in, but I mean,
I can tell you from experience, I would not be happy sitting on any TC anywhere in the league and watching a team forfeit like that. I would not. I'd be pissed. 100%.
And I mean, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't force him to drink. And I did everything I can. I gave him TCs and everything. So
I mean, if we were in a better situation, he probably should have been. You know, he's a great guy, but he's got to be pulled and somebody else. I mean, before Golden State even. But anyway, I mean, we could talk about what could do, can't do, whatever. That's done. That's over. Let's move on here because we were running out of time fast. 4-week schedule is what they're saying in the final week.
4-week schedule.
Yeah, 4-week schedule instead of a 5-week schedule.
We're going to a 4-week schedule next season. 5-week was like, you know, I was, you know,
I like 5 weeks.
I was inspired. I was like, yo, let's get in there. Let's go 5. Let's do it. 100%. Let's go. Everybody can play. Doesn't matter. We don't need to wait for nobody. Let's just, you know, let's do that. You know, rookie commission. But 4 weeks did. After 4 weeks, you could just feel it. Like, you can just feel the season just like, oh, do we really have to play this last week? Can we just play playoffs? I mean, talking to the owners.
Yeah.
So I think next season we're going to go 4 weeks. It's going to be better for everybody. And I'm sorry for those of y'all that you know, we had a dicey season. Like the Spurs, I think would have been okay even. They'd at least play. They they played some games for week 4. So I mean, it would have been better for everybody, you know, if we'd ended on that week. But
it's always hard to get the teams that are failing by the end of the season to play anyway. It's it happens every single season. Every single league I've ever played in, there's always one team that fucks and just falls apart. There's always another team that just by the end of they realize they don't have a chance by like week 3 or 4, and then they're done. Like they don't want to play anymore. They just don't show up, and then it's all forfeits from there on out. Another thing he wanted to add here is what happened? I know Vikings were winning. What's going on?
I'm sorry, man. I thought my mic was on mute. Vikings are down by 8, and they're at the 5 going in.
Damn. Okay.
They're at the 5 going in. 40 seconds left on the clock in the fourth quarter.
Okay. So in the final week, he's talking about, you know, doing all division games, which I kind of agree with. I think you should be able to fight for a position there at the end of the week. 100%.
And I tried to.
We have an automated system
that
does our just so you know, on the back end of playoffs. So
a division heavy schedule, and I don't know if I can specifically ask for division heavy last week because that's what I assumed when I said division heavy. I assumed that's what was going to happen, but we'll definitely. I'll talk to Mags and we'll get it set up.
Mags can program the system and do what he needs to do to make it happen. I think, and it's just moving numbers 100%. And so forth. It's not a problem.
Then we'll definitely do that. We'll definitely do that.
2 to 3 weeks in between seasons. Seasons really matter on how many signups we get quickly. That's nothing we have control over. It's signups is all we ever waiting on. Hopefully we'll get everybody to sign up very quickly and get new people right now. If you guys want the season to run smooth, right now in the playoffs, go get your friends and everybody else that wants to sign up. That way so we know their numbers, what we're looking at, how many people normally return, and you can turn around and they can turn the season in and out pretty fast. We're never waiting on other things. We're always waiting on player signups. We're always waiting on player signups, and everybody waits to the last minute. That's why we get into situations with this league only. I've never dealt with the same situation in any VFL or EFL or EHL or VHL season. This, for some reason, people in basketball go, I'll wait until I'm not going to play, and then Saturday, because the bidding's on Sunday, they sign up. So you base your numbers on the 100 you have, and then 30 or 40 more people get stuck into training camp because you based your numbers on the 100 because they didn't sign up a week or 2 or 3 in advance. So get your friends, if they're going to play, get them signing up now. I'm going to start blasting everything, getting them signed up, and that could fix that issue. Yeah, let's go team. The only thing extended the season, the playoff teams will forfeits. I don't know about all that. Another commitment is we need to go to a 2x2x2x2x2 Sunday to Wednesday. So 2 games a night, Sunday to Wednesday. What do you think about that?
I kind of like that idea. I think that's something that will be voted on. I think that's something that we'll definitely bring up in the offseason for a vote. Because I was already thinking, because I've been contacted by other people about Sunday games being too much for whatever reason or whatever. I don't understand why, because I feel like Sunday would be better for more people being like the main day a lot of people get off. But we'll have a vote for the season, see what the deal is with that. That'll definitely be a community issue that I have no problem with changing that if the league feels if the people feel like that's what they want. So I'm definitely looking forward to that vote for sure.
What do you have anything to add on any of this, Realist? I kind of went over everything real quickly. Do you have anything to add on those?
No, scheduling. I don't really have a problem with when the games are. I know a few people complained about it, like the Clippers were complaining about it, that the games were starting too late or too early or whatever it is, and it's never really been a problem in the past, I don't feel.
Yeah, I mean, even if the Sunday game was moved, it would be the early Sunday game, because I mean, the people on the West Coast need to have time to play as well. I mean, we gotta,
And I like the
think
later
about
games,
everybody.
That's just me, but
Yeah.
all right, let's move it. We're moving quickly here, right through. Let's go to 1 up, 1 down rule. They wants to get rid of it. It's time it's gone. Let people
Next.
sub in players at whatever position they wish.
Next. And then,
Well, I don't think the 1 up, 1
I'm
down
not
is. I think he's talking about real players, not
Oh, well,
not 1 up, 1
if
down.
that's the case, then I mean,
Like he's talking about moving. Like the only problem I have with it is you hardly ever see, a power forward.
yeah, I'm
playing
even that, man.
point
I'm
guard.
not with that. I appreciate him coming forward with that, because I mean that's something that everybody can think about. I mean, it's something that we can definitely think about. But I just feel like it's just too much of a mismatch in certain situations. For I mean, even unrealistic situations like moving a fucking point guard to center, like that's crazy when you gotta go out there with Ed Davis and man up with damn Russell Westbrook. Like that's wild. I mean, that's too rough.
Allow hot step. Do you have any problems with that 1 up, 1 down rule, Realist? Before I move on.
I've only thought of like when I see teams with like getting personnel on the floor. Now this is sim style. I don't want to see no fucking point guards at center or no fucking center at point guard. I don't want to see no shit like that. But there's only one team where like I feel like they're not an EBA team just because of the personnel they can put on the floor. But like there's one team, Chicago Bulls. I feel like if they can make one sub, they would be a real good EBA team. But because they can't do it because of the 1 up, 1 down rule, I feel like I wouldn't pick them because of that. But that's
Who you
it.
talking about?
The Chicago Bulls, I think they're good in real life, like everyone knows. But on this 2K is a shooting based game. And like when you want to pick the Bulls and you got Wade, Rondo, and Butler, like that's disgusting. Like I just don't feel like people are gonna win with that. And like I feel like the Bulls would be a really good 2K team if you could sub out Rondo and put in Denzel Valentine at point guard, and then like let Wade, kind of run the point guard role, just like how the Rockets do with Harden. They basically let Harden play point guard.
I mean, it wouldn't be hard to put. It wouldn't be hard to put Wade at the 1 and then move Valentine at the 2.
Maybe make a special, like. Well, then I guess you could put what's his name at the 3. I mean, he wouldn't be too bad at the 3. Butler.
I mean, you could put Wade at the 1. I mean, you could put Wade at the 1, or Butler at the 1, one of those, and then just move Valentine up to the 3 spot or the 2 spot. I mean, that's.
You could, but then think about this. But then when it comes to this, you got the guy who signs up, to play, let me think. The guy that signs up to play shooting guard, or, he wants to be shooting guard. And he's thinking going to the Bulls, hey, I get to play with Dwayne Wade. Then the owner says, well, we don't play like that. We let the point guard have Wade. And, we let the shooting guard use Valentine, and then he's like, oh, well, fuck that, then I'm not playing.
Well, I mean, when he gets in the game, he doesn't have to sub out Wade. I mean, he could just be an asshole and be like, nah, fuck that, I'm keeping him.
I don't know. I guess that's maybe one for discussion, because if there's only one team that stands out, I don't think that's that big a deal, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there still works a way that you can work around. All right, let's move on. Allowing hop stepping. Now, Realist, you've played a lot more to this 2K than I have. Is that an issue and not an issue? Is it not a real thing anymore? Help me out.
I haven't seen anybody abuse it, so I think maybe you could bring it back for a season and see how it goes. But then I think I think this is what maybe we could do. Bring it back, and if we see somebody abusing it, and it's kind of glitchy, how it was on the last 2K, maybe you just ban it right away again.
Well, I've seen, I play big in, I play Pro-Am, and I play a lot of team up and stuff, and I've seen it where, like, they get in the hop step animation, and it's not as bad as it was last year where, you just, like, you're playing defense on it, and then when they hop step, it just pushes you out of bounds, which I don't think that's the glitchiness of it, but I've seen when, like, they do the hop step animation, and I step up on it, they just, like, they go, like, right through me or like, slide right off me. Like, I can't body it on the hop step during the animation. And that's the issue I have with it.
I've personally never had to deal with the hop step on this 2K because I just feel like nobody relies on it. When I see people rely on this 2K is, hey, we'll have like 2 people set a screen, then we'll have somebody come fucking shoot it from 50 feet away and watch it go in.
Yep.
That's the normal on this one. I hate playing Pro-Am for that reason.
Yeah.
But all right, yeah. Well, I mean that one could probably be up for discussion, and then see maybe some test games or something to see if it's broke. And
yeah, absolutely.
5 minutes after cheese. I haven't had anybody hit me up for this, and maybe because they see Ice the Man. And
no, I agree with this one. I agree 100% with this one. This needs to be a rule. It's needed to be a rule where 5 minutes after should not be the deadline. If we're gonna allow the time to go to 15, that needs to be the absolute deadline, not 5 minutes. Oh, well, you didn't ask for 15 like at the 6 minute mark, so I'm taking the dub on that one. Nah, fuck that. If it's going to 15, this one's probably going to get changed, because I agree with Trent on this one, and he was the one who abused it this season. If it goes to 15, it needs to be 15. And that needs to be done. Not, oh, well, it could go to 15. Or we could just take the 15 out, because motherfuckers should be on at the 9 o'clock mark on the dot anyway.
Well, my problem is with it. You give them 15.
I mean, either way.
My problem with this, if you say 5 minutes the deadline, everybody wants 15. If you say 15 is a deadline, everybody wants 20. If you say 20 is a deadline, everybody wants 40. I mean, they're always constantly going to push it and push it and push it. If we say 15 is a deadline and that's where it's at 16 after, you can accept the forfeit one way or the other.
5 minutes is already 5 minutes extra you're getting. And I mean, back in the VFL days, I mean, it was always just 5 minutes. If you weren't there at 9:06, it was a wrap.
I can tell you from experience playing in the EBA, from my experience in the VFL back in the old days. 5 minutes was 5 minutes. We were in 5 minutes before the game majority of the time. I usually hop on 10 minutes before the actual time of the game. The problem we have now is parties aren't even getting put together until 5, 6, 7 minutes after. They're just not.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's a situation where people are having problems making the game, but I know that this year it's really broke this year. You got to invite somebody that is running the fucking thing in so they can invite you. I know I hate that part about this 2K. It really irritates me. But 5 minutes after, to me, this is a moot point. I mean, this is something you can do or not do. I don't care. I mean, you're the commission. This is the league. They can do what they want. But to me, if you do 15 after, then they're going to continue doing what they do anyway.
I agree with you.
They're not going to be on until 10,
I agree,
10,
man.
10 after, and then they're going to rush around.
The best way to do this is either leave it as it is or take the 15 away completely and just make it the 05 mark. And if you're not there at the 05 mark, then, it's a forfeit. I mean, I think that's the best way to do it because, I mean, if you add more, it's just going to keep extending like you said. So, I mean, we'll vote on it in the off season. I mean, if people, and I mean, we're going to vote on either taking away the 15 or leaving it the way it is. Either making it 9:05 on the dot or making it where, the 15, you have to ask for 15 and make it stay. I think I prefer taking it away because the game is supposed to start at 9 o'clock. You should be getting your guys together at 8:45.
Oh, and I know situations happen. That's why I didn't mind the 15 minutes. Like it was acceptable. I think the last commissioner that was in and his team decided to do it this way, and I've got no problem with it. What I can't believe is there's actually owners out there, and Trainer posted this, so I'm sure that he's probably one of them, is what you said, that go, it's 6 minutes after, guess what, you didn't ask for the 15. Wait, we got our guys ready, it's 10 after. No, it's 6 minutes, you didn't ask for it, we're done, we're taking the fourth. That's some bullshit. That's some shady bullshit. Bottom line is we sign up to play, I want to play. I'll wait 20 minutes for a team if that's what it takes in order for them to get their guys on and ready to go.
And Miz did it for us.
Yeah.
We took one forfeit all season long, and Miz gave us till damn 10:30, to play.
I want my stats. I want everybody on my team to get the stats. I want, everybody's playing for stats. Everybody's playing to enjoy the game. You should be, you should wait. I'm not saying it's mandatory. There has to be a deadline, or people will wait. People will hit you up an hour afterwards and go, "Hey, can we play our game now?" At that point, just make it an open schedule and it doesn't matter. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Realist? Do you think this is a real issue we should discuss, or it's just bullshit?
I just think it should be left at 15. I think the general rule should just be 9:15. If you're not there at 9:16, that's kind of your problem. I think maybe some leeway in the playoffs, because I think we don't want forfeit in the playoffs. That's just not good.
Which will, as long as I'm commissioner, we're always, if somebody's on like that happened with, I think you guys, somebody was updating their game and it went overboard. I mean, they took an extra, it was 9:30 or some shit before the game started, but and so I was just like, just wait, let the man update, because it's a situation where it's the playoffs. It's not like he's not on. He's on. He just, his game is trying to update. Give him a minute. And it wasn't a big update, so, I mean, it took him 10 minutes to get it or whatever. So, and that's the situation. And it'll always be like that in the playoffs. It's like this week is going to be the same. I mean, if somebody's there, but, at some point, if 10 minutes later, if the shit ain't done, then it's, you got to do something. You got to get ECU or something, man. Come on. But we want the best players in. We want their best players playing. We want the most competitive playoff we can have. So.
All right, we're moving away from Commissioner's Corner. That did take up a ton of time. We're actually way over. I wanted just something to fill space. I didn't believe it was going to take that long. So to make a long story short, if you have ideas, bring them up. Let's discuss them. Let's talk about them. I wanted to spend some time on the show tonight to discuss 100%. These just between us three. I didn't realize it would take this long, so I apologize to the listeners. But also, everyone listening should understand that you have an ear, with Texas James Smith that's willing to listen and willing to put things up to a community vote, and also, the rest of us, we want to discuss this. We like this league. We're part of this league. This is what I get back out of this league, is getting a great community like you guys, and able to move forward. So let's move on to the next one, and this is the last one here, which it's not sure. It is reach out. That's what we need to do right now, is we need to reach out. And what I mean by that is we need to, as a community, anybody listening within earshot, tell somebody else, whether you're playing Pro-Am with them, say, hey man, you should sign up for this league. It's fun, it's fantasy style, whatever, let's go. Another way to go is they have this thing, and I know I've been preaching lately, it is called clubs. Really neat. You can go through and look at you can discover all the clubs that are out there. They've even got one for you here, LGBT League. But you got Dark Souls, Smite, official, blah blah blah. We even have our own elite team play one. But you can go into these clubs, see how many people are join these clubs that are interested in 2K, and you would be surprised at how many people you can get out of these clubs. I'm going to start spamming them and probably kicked from a few clubs. But here you can go in, you can check out a club. You can see that I only have 17 members in elite team play, so if you didn't ask to sign up, bad for you. You could find games on here through this. You could post and say, I'm ready, we need one, or blah blah blah, and then you keep the community strong. And this is a way to continue to keep the community strong, and invite new people to the community. And it's taking forever to load, but you can go into these clubs. Like, I'm a member of this 2K17 4K here. I think it has like 10,000 users on it. When I post on there and start spamming them, imagine, I don't know if they'll kick me out or not, but I hope to get some guys come check us out. When they do check us out, don't be a dick, don't be a douche. You want the league to grow. You want it to be big. I want it to be 3 teams, 20 guys, all with that same mentality. This one right here has 12,000 followers and 7,800 members, and 1,000 people, or 19 people was here today. So if I go into the activity feed or the chat and I post, hey, see that some people are posting for whatever. If I go in here and I post it, sign up for EliteTeamPlay.com, where you do fantasy style leagues, sign up, get bidded on, get put on a team, blah, 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 whatever. You can do that in here. So it's definitely #reach out. I need everyone's help to help me do this. If you want this to continue to get big, continue to be a great place to play with a great community, we need to reach out to our friends and buddies, and that's the only way that we're really advertising right now, is by word of mouth. What's really cool is you can see all the people that are here now that's in the league, and somebody just actually requested. See, look, requested this. But we can utilize this as a system, as a reach out system, instead of me spamming all of you guys, hey, sign up, like I always do to my friends list. You can also spam your friends list. You can go on here and go to each club and send out messages based on what clubs you join. So there's a ton of 2K clubs. I only joined like 3 or 4 right now. I plan on joining another 10 or 15, or requesting to join 10 or 15. Some of them say no spamming. Respect that, of course, or don't. I don't care. But see if we can't get the word out and get some more people that are interested in playing in these league styles to sign up and show up, and they're willing to play with randoms, obviously, because they're putting out reachers for randoms. So do that. Before we go, any last words? Anything you want to say? We'll start with Realist.
Not much. Just good luck to everybody. Good luck to everybody that's still in the playoffs, including my team, Ms. Ark's team, your team Tex, and Crow's team. And for the owners that are looking to be owners, or the owners that are, gonna come back and play next season, I would advise maybe now is you jumpstart now, and you start practicing with teams early to get a jump start on everybody.
100% was a great idea.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for mentioning owners. I wanted to get an owner on the show tonight, but it seems like everybody's dodging me. So, during the off season, I'd still like to run my show, or our show, I should say, mine and Texas's show, and maybe have owner interviews of the upcoming owners, what they're looking for, what teams might be their top picks, so on and so forth. Maybe a little bit of interview to keep it active in the off season. Maybe not as long as this one.
It would be great to get a couple guys that are being interviewed on the show and talk to them and let the community see what they have to say and see just see what the community have to say about things. That would be really cool. Not that it would hurt. I don't, as long as it doesn't hurt anything, but I don't see why that would be a bad thing, man. That'd be great. Get some get the owners to have the ear of the community and let the people see like what type of person they are and see if maybe they want to play with them just by seeing what they have to say on a few things. And it helps the league out, I feel. So that'd be cool to do.
Definitely. Any last words you want to throw in there, Texas? Go tonight.
I just want to say that I want everybody to keep it civil and keep everything the way things have been, man. We've had a great season thus far. We've had a couple of bumps in the road. I know that everything hasn't been the way it's been in the past, and but I'm looking to be here again next season as the commissioner and as the co-host of the show, and I'm looking to make things better, guys. So just bear with me, man. We're gonna be on the up and up here, I promise. Things are gonna get smooth as ever. So just stick with what we're doing, man, and it gets better. Let your friends know that we're sign-ups are up for next season, and have a good rest of the year. Those of you that are in the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely good luck to all the players out there that are playing. Still left on this. Good luck to the owners. Good job to the owners that they made it this far into the season. I wish you the best, playoffs next week, and I'm excited to talk about who's going on to play for the EBA trophy, the finals. And thanks for tuning in to everybody that's showing here. So, as always, I want to say huge shout out to my guest, Realist. Thank you for coming on board.
No problem, sir.
Also to the one, the only, Kamish. Thanks for being here, brother.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate it, man. God bless you all, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in and listening to me and Ice week in and week out. We'll be here next week.
Who won the game? Is the game over?
Do you really want to know? Do you really gotta ask?
I got beat that.
Dallas by 2. Dallas by 2.
See, I even decided to do the
Minnesota
show
lost
because
on a 2-point conversion.
I figured that the Dallas would beat us. But all right, we're out. Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on tonight.
No problem. I'm here. Dallas game or not, man. I will show up. I almost did.
Oh, you knew they had the Vikings. Come on now.
Yeah, I did, man. I ain't gonna lie. I kind of missed a couple of plays looking at my damn computer screen. I
think that was really a test game for the Cowboys right there. That was one of the defense. That's a defense, man. That's a defense right there.
And I mean, we did it again with the Eagles. We did the same thing with the Eagles. When we played the Eagles, it was tough. It was tough as hell. I think with the OT in that game, it was rough as hell because again, defense, man. And that's the thing that our defense is being exploited as an offense. So it's up to our defense, and we're having to get those 3 and outs, and our defense having to touch the field. Like I said before, our defense is inflated as shit because our defense stats are inflated because our offense is time possession is so high that we don't give up a whole lot of yards because their offense don't have the ball a whole lot. It's wild, man. 15-1, you already know we be doing it. We're doing it just like, do our damnedest to beat these damn Warriors this week. So that's about to happen. That's gonna be fun.
Didn't say it on the show. I probably should have said it, but Crow said it's gonna be easier to beat you guys than it was the Rockets.
Wow.
Damn, that's fucked up. That's cool. That's cool. Well, I know that my line has struggled against the Cavs, man. So I mean, not the Cavs. I don't even think my line never even played you niggas. But my line has struggled against the Warriors, and I think we beat them twice, and they beat us 3 times, or we beat them once and they beat them twice. Just my line, and so I mean, these last 2 weeks have been rough, man. Shit,